3 and 4, I definitely felt that it was not super fun to read. I feel like I'm not the target audience for this book, which is fine. But the essentially, cut off your parents if they're poor and don't align with your goals, or like your family, I was like,
what?
Yeah, I was like, as a Chamorro person, where culturally family and friends and community is a super big thing, and helping each other through hard times is like a part of like our identity. I was like, I don't know about this, my guy. Like, obviously, demographics, I do not align with that. So
Yes.
that's okay. But
well, I want to say this too. Let me go back here. I'm trying to think. There's no way. It says 2019, but I can't believe, maybe this is the revised edition. I can't remember.
I believe, or like 2012.
Yeah, 2012. Listen, we weren't having the same discussions around diversity, equity, and inclusion in 2012 as we are in 2022. I'm not saying that it's just PC now to do so. I'm saying it's just right. It's just right to be having those questions. So going into, and I'll just be transparent, going into chapter 3, talking about reality checks and talking about obesity and mental illness and medication, that's not okay. That's not okay. We don't talk about people's physical whatever. Now you can talk about how we maybe just not prioritize our health because we're on the fast track of just busy BS Americanized how to be productive.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of thing.
Totally honest. I hate grind culture. I despise it. Nothing makes me angrier than people like just like definitely
go.
Gives me bootlicker vibes of like, what do you mean that you want to like continue like giving overtime and giving your all when you are most definitely only seen as a cog in the machine? And like so I will also say that I don't feel that way about like my current job, because I feel like it like the input equals the like the reward. It's more even, but it's like like I had a coworker when I used to work at McDonald's. That's my first job in high school.
My husband's too.
Yeah, I had a friend, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I closed last night, and I was up until 4 a.m. working, and it was like 8 a.m. On like a Saturday at this point." And I was like, "Why are you here then? Like, you only got like a couple hours of sleep or downtime." And he's like, "Oh, like the grind doesn't stop." And I'm like,
"Yeah, it does." Yeah. I think if you're in your, I want to say this, I do think that when you're in your purpose, whatever that is, which I also think is sometimes this mythical, it might jump in here anytime because Alana and I can take up a lot of oxygen. I definitely know.
I've seen this before.
I know. Like this mythical thing of finding your why. I don't want to say it mythical because I do feel like determining what feeds your soul, whatever, if that's the definition of your purpose or your why or whatever, what feels maybe not like work, right? It's still work.
Yeah.
You got to get up in the morning, you got to feed the dog or whatever you got. And you got to get there. There's stuff. And so I feel like I needed what?
I was just going to say that it's also like he comes at it from such a like capitalist perspective that you have to like pour into other people, and like it's like he's very like individualistic and like almost like self-serving in his own.
Well, it's his journey. It's his book, and some people it resonates with. The thing about it is, and I want to segue out of just like beating him over the head.
Yeah.
Is that it does get to a point where it does talk about things in a way that I truly do feel like has been productive for me, is how to execute prioritizing myself
Yeah.
over the other things that might just be the responsibilities,
Yeah.
including the pets, the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mike, have
to
you
me,
started? Like, are you there?
I've read 3 and 4. I
Okay.
read a little bit of 1. I was very disappointed with 3. I'm back to so much of what he talks about was better said in the one thing. And this, I feel he just rambles and, starts with this 95% of you are bad. Okay, gee, that's so uplifting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have different goals in life, and people have to, I just found that 3 and 4 to be a little bit negative. I
A
started
little
reading
judgy. A little
Yeah.
judgy.
I started reading on a little bit of 6. I read through 5 real quickly because there's nothing there.
Yeah. It's
But it
fast.
seems like, but I started saying, okay, so maybe here he's going to start laying out some points of some of the value, because my initial reaction to this was, where are you coming from, buddy?
Yeah. I don't remember it being, when I first read it, as judgy. I think I was just like zipping through it. I want to say this too, and I don't know. Anyway, I won't say that. But like, I was in a class yesterday, and a mastermind with all these people, these high functioning, whatever the heck that means, individuals. And the instructor, like the first 20 minutes, he did it again. I think I told y'all about him last week. I told you last week's class, like about halfway through the class, I was like, this is getting uncomfortable. His style is to start out with all this value and bring all this. And then he, halfway through the 1 hour, at the halfway mark, he starts going to this place. It's really condescending, really judgy. Well, why aren't you doing that? What's keeping you from meeting that goal? Why aren't you doing the things? And his face and his thing right here just starts getting all whatever. He did it again yesterday, so much so I just logged out. I closed my laptop and went back into the CV, because I think that there's like a learning style that I think is interesting. When I was reading that chapter last night after having logged out of that class, and I was like, there's this teaching style that almost feels like he's got to hammer it in a way that makes you feel bad in order to improve.
I'm just not interested in that though. Like,
me either.
Like, I'm like, bro, like, hello, Eva. Hello.
Hi, darling.
We're
Hi there.
continuing to poo-poo chapter 3 a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, what I was actually like, because Eva and I were reading it together earlier today, and what I like, especially with like chapter 3, like, because like I find statistics very fascinating, because you can make them tell you whatever you want, which is exactly what he did at the start of chapter 3. And I was like, that's all fine and dandy that if you gather 100 people, 95 of them are unhappy with their life. Like, that's cool. Have we ever considered, one, the capitalist constraints that we have to live in, the yoke of having to give to simply survive, but then also, who are those 5%? What are those demographics? The 5% feed. What do they look like? How did they grow up? Those are the things that I'm interested to know, because it's like, we can talk about, not to get super like political or whatever, but it's like, like my own existence is at the intersection of several minorities. And so, like, he doesn't talk at all about privilege. And, as a straight white man, I never expected him to either. Perhaps a devastating blow, but, like, having to, like, I'm reading this book through the lens of what?
Oh, somebody was in the background talking in his thing. Don't worry about it.
Oh, but yeah, just
yeah,
like, obviously demographic, and so like that's this, and so it's like, yeah.
Well, out of all these things, he's saying Acknowledge the 95% reality check. Consider the following. And he goes through step 1, step 2, the causes of mediocrity, lack of purpose, isolating incidences. Maybe he's trying to cover it up a little bit there. As if some one catastrophic event would be the cause versus like an upbringing in
Poverty.
complete poverty or abuse or whatever.
Racism. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sexual-
racist, all the things. Lack of personal development, lack of urgency. So I think that he's missing a huge,
Yeah,
huge gaping hole. Yes.
I was telling Anna, like, there was a part where he was like, hang out with people that make over $100,000. And I was like, that's really interesting for him to say that, because if the people that are making over $100,000 are following his method, why would they be hanging out with losers like us?
Exactly.
First of all,
I mean,
you're not losers.
We're talking
Yeah.
exclusively income. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, what kind of fucking peasant? Oh, whoopsie. Sorry about that. Monetized.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's that was, yeah, no, exactly. You said
That
it
is
very-
that's an old, I'm just gonna say, maybe that's a more generational way of thinking, although there is some validity to like this saying of like, try not to be the smartest person in the room. Like you want to be in the presence of people that are uplifting, inspiring, doing the things or having done the thing that you're aspiring to, right? That's why we hire coaches. It's why we hire trainers, blah, 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 right? I think it's the same thing. I just don't think he said it very well.
right.
No, he didn't say it very well. He orientates people. And again, I'm back to, had I just picked up this book because somebody said, oh, you should read this book, I would have gotten to about this point and said, you know what, this book must
Not
be
for
for
you.
somebody else. No, I mean,
Interesting.
you're right. I would have, okay, I'm tired of, I don't need somebody, I am my own worst critic. I find more faults in
Same.
myself,
Right.
and I don't need somebody saying, oh, there's all these terrible things you've done. Congratulations.
Mhm.
You got a point there? Because I got one. It's called My Power of 2 Feet. All right, I'm out of here. Not gonna.
Yeah. Well, I personally am taking some things with it because I'd read it before. So it was easy to just kind of jump in and implement some of the morning things. But I also I'm not sleeping really well. The girls know that. And so I'm giving myself some grace, that if I'm not up at that time and I just get up and change the alarm clock because I'm already up at 1:30 or 3, change it from 5:36 to just 7:30 and just, get the sleep. That feels better.
Yeah.
So knowing yourself, being self-aware enough to know how it applies, how he's delivering it. But I also love the idea that we're in a book that maybe we can criticize. I think that's really great too.
yeah.
Don't you think?
And talking some smack about the 100,000 thing, but the very next paragraph I took a lot from. So it talks about, yourself with people who are like constantly complaining and like focus on the negatives, you will too.
Yeah.
And it's like, I actually have like a anecdotal story about this. Ago, I was working for a call center, and the girl who was across from me, like her desk was there, and so we would just chit chat, and it was constantly like one excuse after another about why her life is so messed up, and granted they weren't even really like the things to complain about, and so there was just a like, wow, like we're just kind of stewing in negativity right here. And like literally they moved our desks around. I ended up being surrounded with a completely different group of people. And like, I just noticed that I wasn't as angry or like depressed or like, all of the time because I'm no longer around this person who's constantly just doing negativity.
Mm,
I think that there's a lot of truth in that, and it vein of like, you are what you eat, you are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
yes.
I don't think there's any
Yes.
question about that. And I think, finding the positive people, and he does talk a little bit about that. But the other comment that I wanted to make is when I taught wine classes, one of the things I would say is wine is like any other form of art. It lies in the eye of the beholder. And I think this book is a little bit of that too, that you have to be careful, and understand he's got a point of view. We don't have to agree with everything he says.
Yeah.
It's just another form of art.
Yeah. That's true. So 3, 4, let's see. I'm trying to look here.
I thought well, I guess maybe let's move on to chapter 4 about
Yeah.
waking up.
Yep.
The mindset thing, I think is interesting, and I'm excited to go into like the chapter 5 and then starting in on the lifesavers on chapter 6.
Right.
Just because like I think we talked about this last time too, about how I wake up at the last possible moment and then drive to work, and don't really have like a proper morning routine, and I'm just trying to like make the most of that like reality that I've like placed myself in, and like I do think that if I did like take better care of myself basically, and wake up and like actually like have breakfast or something and like be fully sentient before I start driving to work, would probably help. And so like that's just like something that I really kind of like let fall by the wayside.
I think something really interesting that he talks about in order
Say that again. Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
So different people require different amounts of sleep in order.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Some
And
people
different stages of different lives. That's
more,
also important.
you know?
And different sexes need different things. And he doesn't get into that. And I can't get into nationalities. Do they require? I don't know about that. I do know about age. I do know about sex.
Yeah.
They're factors.
It's so true, because I know that my husband and I love to sleep in on the weekends, and for him sleeping in is like 8 a.m. For me, sleeping in like 10 or 11 a.m. And so I feel better once I rest that much. But him, he's ready to go 2 hours sooner. So granted, there's a lot of different things at play. Like he works earlier in the day, up 5 a.m. where I'm up at 7:30. So even though we go to bed at the same time, like for me to get a good night's rest looks a lot different than it would to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. My battery on my computer is about to die. So if I lose y'all, that's the reason for that. There's no question. My husband gets up at 4 almost every day, whether he opens or not. It's just like his, whatever, he might sleep in a smidge till like 6 or whatever if he's off, but it's like ingrained. It's like his weird little internal clock. I'm kind of similar, but it's just weird the way that my sleep's been. But I will say this, and I did want to say this. Once I started this job, and I didn't just let the day get dictated by what my clients needed or just getting up to take my kid to school or whatever. It was like, oh, do I need to send emails or do I have showings or whatever? I definitely feel more oriented sleep-wise, even though my sleep is disrupted in the middle of the night. I think that's stress related. It's different. But I feel better that my day is being dictated on my terms. Like I get up at a certain time, I take that shower, I get ready and I'm in work, versus I come downstairs and I'm in my pajama pants and then somebody needs a showing at 1, I might still be in my pajamas at 12 o'clock, and then I'm rushing and I felt like resentful of having to now get ready, even though that's my job. It feels more purposeful is what I mean, like during the week. And so, yeah, I'm interested, in how everybody progresses through this. And if you try to do, things different, I would love to hear that being shared like down the road. If it does become a thing that you try to implement, I'm inspired by that.
Yeah.
So sort of on that note, I know that one of my takeaways / homework, I really, like Alana was saying, I would love to try the affirmation before bed and see, I've never tried anything like that before.
I am texting you right now the affirmation YouTube that I sent to Doug. I'm literally going to send it to all y'all. I am in love with it, honestly. And I'm texting it to all y'all right now because it's just super easy. And hang on, copy link, get out of my ears. Hold on one second, because I love it. Did I lose y'all or did I get my thing back?
I'm still here.
Okay. So Mike, Eva, and it's just easy. And he says a thing and it's an hour and a half. So like if you fall asleep, it's still playing in your ears, which I think is really kind of interesting subconsciously. But it gives you space, like he'll give the affirmation and then there's space to say it out loud or say it in your head privately or whatever. And sometimes they repeat, but it's pretty vast. Okay, Alana. I'm texting it to y'all. There you go. Whether you want it or not, I'm sending it.
No, I think it's great.
Yeah. What time is it? 12:54. Anyway, so I just sent that to y'all. I'm enjoying it. And I'm feeling like I definitely can, I'm doing it daily. And it definitely, I think, is rubbing off.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited to try it. And again, I'm hoping it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm packing up. I'm going to be heading into the office here to teach the forms class. So I will see you. Like a nap.
2 o'clock.
See you guys in a little bit. And my computer's dying. Adios.
Okay. Okay. See you at 2
Well,
o'clock.
I'll be here when you get here because I got to boogie out and start.
That's right. You're getting out.
Yeah. So
Drive quickly.
I'll hold down the fort.
yeah.
You do it. See you in a bit. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.
Eva, how's the house going?
We close on the 6th. We got the clear to close.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Good.
Now
Oh,
we're
good.
back and
Yeah.
start.
Yes.
Hell-
And unfortunately, you get to find out what they didn't disclose that you get to deal with now.
Oh, well, here's
It's
hoping.
all part of life. It's all part
Yeah.
of life. You'll deal with it. They're professionals to help you no matter what the problem is. Somebody has had the same problem before and we've solved it.
Exactly.
So it is all part of it. I have a plus 100-year-old house. So I've had 1 or 2 minor problems over 31 years of living there.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So, but good luck with it. So, all
Thank
right.
you. All
Thank
right.
you. Guys. Appreciate
you.
your time. Thanks for organizing this. I'll talk to you soon.
All righty.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.